Hello world, how's it going? Um, my name is Logan Benson, and I am a writer for Intellectual Crime Scene. It's a website where I intellectually investigate ideas, ideas plaguing society, and ideas plaguing the individual. The thing I wanted to talk about tonight is inspiration. Where does inspiration come from? I don't know. There's been a lot of interesting talk about inspiration. I think on the one hand, I think some people will say that inspiration comes from the unknown, right? It comes from the place that we typically don't have access to, and that place is the unconscious mind. And so the unconscious mind is this realm where there's endless possibilities, endless ideas that literally are cultivating themselves sometimes as you're sleeping or sometimes as you're, kind of walking around doing your everyday thing. For some people, though, it seems to be that they're able to get more access to that unconscious mind, that unconscious reservoir of creativity, right? Of endless potentiality. They seem to have a insane affinity, or rather a connection, a bridge between themselves in the waking state and themselves in the unconscious state, right? They're able to somehow tap into it. And so how does that happen? How do they do it? Who knows? Um, who knows? But when they do it, it's something really beautiful, and it's something mesmerizing and phenomenal, and we all benefit from it, right? And so it's no coincidence why people want that. People want that kind of magic that those people have, right? And those people have a kind of air about them. The kind of the way they talk, the way they move, has a kind of eloquence that sort of suggests that they are connected to that source, that endless source, that endless reservoir of potentiality that's sort of giving them their ideas, right? So the question is, how can we, right, the ones who are trying to get on the same level as those people, have access to have access to that kind of endless creativity that people have? Well, first of all, we have to feel inspired, right? And so, where does inspiration come from? Um, I think inspiration comes from many different places. One of them is the unconscious mind, right? So in some ways, we have no control of that. But I think inspiration also comes from other sources. One possible source can be just conversations with other people, right? Especially people who are doing great things, people who are what my therapist would say, high functioning, right? People who are engaged in rigorous and very, I guess, life changing, life transforming activities, right? And they're very, very passionate, right? When you talk to people like that, um, it's inevitable that their passion, their love, their drive, their ambition rubs off. I think another source of inspiration is just being by yourself. And I know this is a very challenging thing to do in the 21st century, especially because we're so inundated with social media and advanced technology and so many different things that can distract us on a regular basis that we don't have the time to spend with ourselves. However, I think if we do spend time with ourselves, we will find that that's where creativity lies. Creativity comes from those moments where you're alone, those moments of respite, those moments I don't want to say supreme, but I would say those moments of sublime serenity, right? Those moments where you're just sort of in solidarity with yourself and by yourself and for yourself. And that's a very challenging thing for us to do. I totally understand that. And not only is it challenging, but it's highly uncomfortable, especially if we're not used to it, right? And especially if we're always sort of participating in the sort of entertainment of the modern society, right? So modern society is always sort of propelling us to get away from ourselves, to be more engaged with it, right, with society. And there's nothing wrong with being engaged with society. It's actually has the potential to be quite revelatory and exciting and amazing and thrilling and phenomenal. However, too much of that, though, can make one depressed, can make one lose their sense of um, a sense of goal, their sense of zeal, right? Their sense of self, right? You lose your identity, you lose your personality when you are always out with other people, when you are always engaged with society. You need time to be by yourself and to think and to meditate on what you want and where you want to go. And it's in that state, right, where aspiration comes from. Where, in other words, where when we what I mean by aspirations, I'm really saying creativity, right? Passion, drive. That's where those things come from. In fact, when you're in that state, those things become clear, right? The clarity is so pronounced and so profound, that you sort of leap to these new things, these new ideas that you want to do with just amazing energy and vitality. And so it's highly important that we take a break from the everyday fast pace of society and just sort of get alone with ourselves, and think about what it is that we want, and think about creativity, and thus for creativity will come forth. And so the question then becomes, well, how do you know when you have creativity? How do you know when creativity has arrived, has knocked on your doorstep, and is literally presenting itself to you? Is you want to go with the flow. The biggest thing is to go with the flow, right? Just feel it. It's a feeling. It's a sense of momentum. It's a kind of energy. And once you feel that energy, you sense it, you go with it, right? It's like being in the zone. One of the ways to get creativity is to just be creative, right? Find something that you're very passionate about and just do it. And what you would discover is that as you're doing it, you're learning new things, and your mind is figuring out ways to solve that new thing. And by you being engaged, and by just being in proximity with it, there's a sense of liberation, but more importantly, there's a sense of connection, and that connection becomes clearer to you. And then the more clear it becomes, the more you become more connected to it, and the more connected you are, the more present you are. And when you're present, everything escapes you. Time slows down, and all of a sudden it's you and this passion, and that's where the creativity comes from. All right. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I think I'm not going to call it a podcast. It's too early to call it a podcast. But it's just it's a recording. That's what it is. It's a Saturday night recording, and if you guys enjoy that, please support. Go to the Instagram, go to my YouTube channel. It's all my name. So Logan Benson. That's Lewuga Benson. Lewuga Benson. And if you want to search for my work, you could just go to Google, type in intellectual crime scene. That's my website and blog. And then you can see some of my work. Okay. Thank you. Have a great rest of the night. Stay safe. Peace.